Hey guys, my name's Derek and welcome to my channel. I recently purchased this XV920R. I believe it's an 81, and I'm gonna take you through the build that I plan on doing with it and the bike itself. So let's get started. All right guys, so I picked up this bike a couple weeks ago. So I really have been looking to build a cafe racer or a flat tracker for some time now. And I really wanted to do a Virago for a number of reasons. So first off, it's a V-twin, and I'm a big fan of V-twin motorcycles. Also, for about 15 to 20 years growing up, my father actually had a Virago, and I rode on the back of it with him for many, many years. So the Virago has always kind of held a special place in my heart. And initially, when looking for a Virago, I was just looking at the 920s, obviously because of the big engine, and they're kind of hard to come by. And this is actually the R model. It is a chain drive model, which is very hard to come by. So I was just going to buy a regular Model 1, but then I was telling my dad about the project, and he said that he actually knew somebody who had one, and it was a chain drive model. I was like, you've got to be kidding me, there's no way. And actually he found this, and it has been sitting for a couple of years. It's obviously not perfect. I'll take you through the bike and kind of show you all the problems with it that I can see. But the good thing is most of the things on here that have issues, I'm gonna plan on replacing. So I actually scored this very cheap. It's got under 6,000 miles. I think it's gonna work really well. So let's take a look at it. All right, guys. Here's a better view of the bike itself. I have actually taken off the side panels already, just because I did have someone interested in purchasing them. So some of it is already off. So one of the first things that you'll notice is the seat is pretty ripped up. Like I said, it had been sitting out for quite some time, but I mean, I plan on replacing this anyway, so I don't really think it's going to be much of an issue. The tank itself, you know, it's got some paint fading. You can see there's some rust here as well, and then also the key actually doesn't even work in here. Right, it's literally completely frozen up, so I'll have to address that in some time as well. So also you'll notice the handlebars are pretty shot. I mean, these are rusty and corroded, but like I said, I mean, I plan on getting rid of all this anyway, so I'm not really too concerned. Even the on-off switch is completely frozen up. The button still works, but the switch itself is completely frozen. But I mean, like I said, I plan on getting rid of all this stuff anyway. There's a small dent here, and then if we move over to the other side, there actually is a pretty big dent here. So I'm gonna plan on trying to get this out so I can possibly sell it to someone else so they don't have to you know, worry about that dent. So moving through some of the bike, you know, the rear wheel's in good condition. The exhaust isn't in great condition, but like I said, I plan on getting rid of it. All this stuff I really plan on getting rid of. The only real issue that I see with what I plan on doing is the carburetors are pretty terrible. So one of my friends suggested vapor blasting and then rebuilding. So you know, I think I may go that route as well, but we'll see. So the bike was tipped over, and that's the reason why there's the dent here, but you can also see the turn signals broken. But in my case, I really don't care. The paint's faded on the fender. Honestly, don't care. And on these bikes, they actually do come with a dual rotor setup, which I'm not sure if many people notice that. And I'm actually going to be getting rid of all of this. I have already purchased an R6 front end that I'm going to be putting on. So all of this will be taken off and hopefully sold. But as you can see, the motor looks in pretty good condition. You know, it is chain drive, so I'll take all of that guarding off and whatnot. And then I'll show you the mileage. We're at, what, 5,500, a little under 5,500 miles. So for this bike being a 1981, you know, it's not in great condition, but it really is a perfect bike to start with because it's you know, it is pretty damaged. Most of the stuff on here needs to be replaced anyway, so I don't really feel bad taking a nice 920R that is so rare and cutting it up and getting rid of it. So this is perfect. You know, all the problems with it I can just get rid of and not feel too bad. So let's talk about my plans with this bike, what I plan on doing. So I did mention that I do have an R6 front end. I do have the front end off of a 2008 R6. I have everything, the forks, the front wheel. The only thing I don't have is the master cylinder, the brake, and the cables or the lines, but that really doesn't matter much because I'm gonna need new lines anyway. And I think the master cylinder of those stock ones are actually quite ugly because they have the master cylinder held up with like a piece of rubber. I want to get one that's kind of all built in. It just looks a little bit cleaner in my opinion. So I'm going to do that on the front side. I think I'm going to replace the rear suspension as well and go with an 03 to 05 rear shock from an R6. This actually does have rear air suspension. I know the fronts are air on all the Viragos, but the rear air is something that is a little bit more rare and I think specific to this bike. So I plan on taking this out. So I'm gonna get rid of most of it, and I'm also gonna get rid of the tank as well. I'm just gonna go with a standard basic tank that everyone swaps on, like one of those Benelli Mojave tanks. If I can score one of those KZ tanks, I would like to get one of those. I think those look a little bit better, but just as far as cost and ease of finding, I'll probably just get one of those reproduction Benelli tanks. As far as the bars go, I know everyone really does clip-ons. I personally think that they look really good, but as far as being comfortable, I don't necessarily know how they are. I personally am going to just do triple trees with some Pro Taper or Renthal bars, kind of more on the flat tracker style, more of the Scrambler style, because at the end of the day, this is my only motorcycle, and I plan on riding it quite a bit, so I would like it to be comfortable. That's the reason why I sold some of the bikes that I had in the past, was just because they weren't really comfortable to ride for long periods of time. So I did have a Buell Firebolt in the past. So that's where my love for V-twins really started. As much as I love that bike, it wasn't extremely comfortable to ride long distances. So that's one thing that I want to do with this, is make sure that it is comfortable to ride. The other thing is the rear subframe. I notice a lot of people just do single seats on these. You know, I would like to be able to have two people ride on this, or have a passenger ride with me. So I plan on doing like a tough side seat, just a universal flat seat with maybe a kick up in the back. I think that just looks a little bit nicer than having the flat seat that ends. And as far as the subframe goes, you know, there are a lot of people that just take round tubing and bend it and weld it. I personally don't have a welder. I mean, I have a lot of friends that do, and it wouldn't necessarily be an issue. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to design something up in 3D CAD, and hopefully machine out the whole piece out of aluminum, probably multiple different aluminum pieces. But I will be able to make them and sell them down the road, as long as you go with the same seat. Honda CB just drove by. So I am an engineer, and I'm very skilled with SolidWorks, and I do have a friend that owns a machine shop that we'll get to at some point. I do a lot of work with him, and so I do have the ability to machine a lot of pieces, and that's what I'm gonna hopefully do with this, just so that if any of you guys actually want to build a bike down the road, you know, you would be able to just buy a lot of these components instead of having to weld and fabricate. I mean, there are still some things that will need to be fabricated, but I think the reason why so many people don't do this is because they don't have the fabrication skills or the welding abilities. And finding someone that does, you know, it's always costly and kind of a pain. So what I want to do is make as many pieces as I can from aluminum and just have it milled on a CNC machine, so that it can be just literally bolted on the bike and kind of go like that. So, you know, if you guys are out there with Viragos and are looking for any custom CNC or engineered pieces, please let me know, because I obviously have the bike and it's something that I can do. I will be purchasing some stuff from Cognito Moto, and then there's some other Virago specific stuff that I've seen as well that I would love to buy. So if there's anything that is not out there on the market, I'm gonna try and do myself. And like I said, I plan on just making a whole subframe for this, and hopefully doing an integrated brake light into that as well. So we'll see how everything turns out. I mean, obviously I just got the bike, but the first thing I'm gonna do is probably tear off the tank relatively soon and kind of get it stripped down to a point where I can sell a lot of the stuff. And then the first project will be getting the R6 front end on, and then from there I'll be getting the tank and the seat, and then I'll be working on the subframe and try and get all that stuff done relatively quickly. So thanks for tuning in and checking out my channel, and hopefully there's going to be some good stuff down the road. So thanks, and I'll hope to see you on the next one.